Welcome to the Guided and United podcast. My name is Kendi Luan, and I'm a success and mindset coach, entrepreneur, mother, wife, and CEO mastermind expert. It is literally my passion and purpose to empower you to step into your 2.0 self and what you are called to do, creating your dream life and business and absolutely loving it all along the way. If you're looking to start your healing journey, step into your true passion-filled purpose, and create your dream life, dropping any and all limiting beliefs holding you back, then you have come to the right place. Think of this as your weekly dose of everything self-development, self-care, and self-love. Leave it to me to provide you with the tools, techniques, strategies, and resources you need to completely drop the poor me limiting belief way of thinking and to transform your mindset to start showing up as your highest version self. Step into the empowered, confident, happy, healed era, and let's make life happen for us. I know we are about to have so much fun together, so thank you so much for pressing play. Now let's get started. If you like what you hear, please don't forget to save, share, like, and follow. Hello, podcast family, and welcome back to another episode today. Today we have a super special guest. We have Emily. She is a life and success coach. She specializes in manifestation, spirituality, all things just healing and all of that realm. So I'm gonna let you introduce yourself with all the goods. I'm so excited you're here.
Oh my God, thank you for having me. I'm so excited for this. Yes, guys. So as Kenzie said, I'm a life and success coach. I specifically, and apologies for the pugs in the background, but this is how you know I'm a real person. Because they apparently decided they want to be part of the podcast too.
It's time.
Yeah. And whoever sees the video now, you can see the puggies.
Oh my God.
But that's exactly right. So I really believe in being like approachable woo mixed in with mindset. And I feel like when you have alignment in both of those, you become so magnetic, which makes you manifest so many things. And I'm all about helping women uncover their spiritual gifts, because I feel like that's when you're truly your authentic self, is when you have all parts of you that you are showing up with. And I just love that. I'm on such a mission for it. And, you know, all the things.
Yes. Wow. I love that so much. I'm actually so excited for this conversation today because I feel like I have so many questions for you, even like for myself. And I know like manifestation is a hot topic right now today,
So
all
hot
over.
right now.
And I feel like so many people are confused on what manifestation is, and then even more confused on how to manifest. So how in your words would you describe manifestation?
In my words, I would describe manifestation as like, we literally manifest every second of every day. And so for manifesting, I manifested these two crazy pugs. But it's literally comes down to like what you are saying to yourself. Literally they call it spelling for a reason. It's because we cast spells with manifestation. That's why we're literally manifesting every second of every day. And to me, manifestation means when you are calling something in, that you are magnetically attracting it because you've uncovered your secret sauce. You're using your spirit team and your spirit gifts, and you're like doing all of the things to be your authentic self, and things will just flow. It's like wild. I mean, I even had a time where I went and was sitting at the bar, and literally the bartender was like, "Oh, I accidentally poured this glass of wine and I know you're drinking it, so here you go." You know, like just like little stuff like that.
Yes.
Because when you're having such a positive vibe, it's like things just flow. And then you can put that into action to call in things like, you know, a 10 or 20K month, 30K, whatever, 100K days, whatever the case may be, soul aligned clients, my puggies, they're little both rescues. But it's like, it's for me, manifestation, it's not just like you do it once and like set and forget. It's like truly about you being magnetic at all times so that you can always call in all the goodness.
Yes, I love that. So you think it's part of literally like just it becomes part of you. It's like a habit after you get good at it.
Yeah. And honestly, you know, one of the things I've been talking a lot with my clients about when we first start working together is that manifestation also doesn't have to, like, if you want to intentionally call something in, it doesn't have to take you hours every day. And I think that there's a lot of misinformation out there about manifestation, right? Like, this is the only way to do it. And you need to spend like 3 hours of your morning. But like, hello, we are busy women. Like, we have stuff to do. And we don't have that. And I really believe that when you're intentional about your manifesting, when you're calling something specific in, and you actually just could take like 5 minutes in the morning and just like tap into yourself, say, what aligned actions can I take today? Ask your spirit team, and then go out and do. You're going to call in exactly what you're seeking, if you will. And if you aren't, then that's when you can take a little moment to reflect and release what's, holding you back. And that's where like mindset comes in, or like energetics. I'm also a Holy Fire Karuna Reiki master. So
Yes.
all the cord cutting, if something isn't coming to fruition, then you're either energetically blocked, right? Or mentally blocked. So it's like, let's get rid of those.
Oh, yes. I'm like, I know your Reiki always, that's definitely, I feel like I never even knew what Reiki was. And I'm like just diving into this whole world of like new amazingness. And I'm like, oh my gosh. So, what do you think really started you on like your manifestation journey? Like, how did you tap into that alignment?
Yeah, it was, interestingly enough, a few years ago, I was recognizing that I was manifesting things, right? Like manifesting my corporate career, my promotions, my raises, like all of the things. But I was like, I'm still really unhappy. And
Mhm.
that's when I was like, okay, are you still hot? I was like, that's when, there really has to be something there that is holding me back, or that I'm like not doing right. I felt like I wasn't doing it right. I wasn't manifesting right. So a few years ago, I started getting really into like studying, essentially like reading books and following people on Instagram and being like, there's gotta be like some unlock for me. And then in 2020, I discovered Reiki. And that's actually, for me, I was in the middle of my biggest spiritual awakening as a psychic medium. See, everyone who's listening is like, man, this girl's got a lot of things. That's correct.
Literally. They're like, wait, another thing added? That's
I
all
know,
I
add it in, add it
do.
in. I do it all now. Um, but with Reiki, what I was uncovering was actually being able to talk to my spirit guides. My spirit team is what I call them, because it's your guides and loved ones. And they were like, listen, you manifest every second of every day, and you just keep calling in the things that you feel like you should, but ultimately, like, it's
Mhm.
not what you truly desire. And I was like, wow, I mean, I just didn't know I had so many energetic blocks. I didn't know I had like all these mindset shifts that needed to happen. And I feel like then getting certified, right, as life and success coach, which I know you have as well, that like unlocked another layer of manifesting, where I was like, oh my gosh, like,
Yes.
of course there's things that are not coming to fruition because I'm still doing the same patterns, over and over again. And I'm not releasing it mentally or energetically.
Yes. So you think a lot of
Yeah.
it was like the mindset, like once you truly tapped into like your mindset and releasing all those stuck energies, that's what helped you really unlock it.
That is seriously like, I don't know how anyone unlocks it without doing
Yeah,
that.
really.
Um, yeah, truthfully, because, I mean, our subconscious mind is like 90% of what we do. And if we aren't consciously aware of it, we don't know how to release it. And that's where I feel like the mindset piece really comes in. And then, of course, energetics as well. Like, we have so many energetic, potential leakages to other people, to past lives, like so many different things. And it's like, if you can get, it's almost like a masculine, feminine. It's how I
Yeah.
think of like, mindset and like the energetics. And when you get those in alignment, it's like, it's the biggest unlock ever. And you start to
Yes.
recognize, right, that like, you don't just, reprogram your subconscious mind or energetically shift one time. It's like, you knew, what are they, my one boss, or said, new level, new devil. And I was like,
Oh
it's
my
so
gosh.
interesting
Literally.
and so true. But once you like get over that, you're always going to be healing and releasing and
Yes.
calling in, then it all of a sudden is like, okay, like, yeah, let's figure out what this new, layer I've unlocked.
Yeah.
And yeah, and now as being a full-time entrepreneur, I really believe that that is so true.
Yeah. And I'm like always
We're
moving.
going through it.
Yeah, these entrepreneurs we're going through it. It is so true though. I love that how you said that like you have to release it in order to. So I think this is one of the biggest questions that I know that we get a lot, that I feel like people are just so curious on and feel so lost at. How do you release those energetics? Like, what specific practices do you like doing?
Yeah, so I personally love utilizing Reiki. I actually have my own modality of Holy Fire Reiki in the Akashic Records. My spirit team gave me that, which was so cool. So I love doing that, but I think also energetically, it's just like reframing in your mind and remembering that like you're in control and like calling your power back and realizing that there's nothing out there that's like out to get you. And so finding what works for you. Some people, it's going to be just like straight meditating. For me, I love doing Reiki because I feel like I'm energetically cutting cords. I mean, you can find different mentors, certainly anyone listening, you can come check out my Reikis, or even just YouTube, like for cord cutting things. And you can really release a lot of, those limiting beliefs, the stagnant energy, like
Yes.
all of that. I do think there's also like other, shamanic practices that I wouldn't say no to. I'd probably give them a try, but Reiki for me is the end all.
And you do Reiki on yourself?
I do Reiki on myself. Yep.
Wow. I
And
didn't
I
know.
also have some mentors who, I've been in their programs or whatnot, and I'll go back to, one of their recordings as well. But yes, I
Wow,
do give Reiki to myself on the
that's
daily.
awesome. I did not know. So anyone listening could give to do Reiki on themselves, like if they're just trying it, they don't have to.
Yeah, I mean, Reiki at the end of the day is just like life force energy. And so, in order to give it to yourself in the most potent way, is to get certified in at least level one, because level one is healing yourself, level two is healing others. Level three is shedding your culturally created self, or that's like master level, level three. And then the karuna is like coming into like oneness consciousness. So there are all these different like activations that happen when you go through the certification process. And it's amazing because you literally just receive like so much Reiki when
Yeah.
you're getting certified. Yeah. So you're like healing as you're doing it. And then once you have that level one, two, if you choose to go to master karuna, like I did, you just have so many tools in your Reiki tool belt, if you will.
Wow. I'm like, I love that. Also, for everyone that's listening, you can check out Emily on Instagram at the Rich Witch Next Door if you are interested in Reiki, if you're interested in any of the healing, calling to your spirits team, manifestation, really coming into really your oneness. I feel like that's what I would say that's definitely what you specialize in, is helping people find that in them.
Yeah. And really that's like my sole purpose. That's like why I'm here on this earth, is to be that light leader who can help people do that and have fun along the way.
Yeah.
I'm not the healer who's like, we're gonna just do all the hard healing. We're gonna do some
No.
fun stuff
Like that's what we need. We need your bubbly energy. I love it.
too. Yeah,
So,
exactly.
how do you think, and I feel like I have two really important questions. I like you talk about your spiritual team and your spirit guides. How did you really know? Like, have you known since you were a child that you had these? Okay, so I want to hear that.
I was like, yes, great question. I often get asked, like, did you always like speak to the dead, right, as a medium? And the answer is yes. I grew up in a haunted house. My imaginary friends were my spirit guides. I just didn't know it at the time, right?
Yeah.
Like, I just thought, I don't know, they were my friends.
Yeah.
Um, However, I grew up the youngest of four and in a very Catholic household. So I was told that, like any of those type of spiritual gifts were me being dramatic or,
Mhm.
evil, um, not good. And so I really suppressed it for majority of my life until 2020. I would occasionally have like spirits break through my barriers, if you will, especially in adult life. Whenever I would be having a few adult beverages,
Yeah.
they would come through. Um, but yeah, I always just really kept a lid on it. And then in 2020, a lot of people had their spiritual awakening, and myself included, where my spirit team was like, no, you don't get to stay asleep anymore. Like, it's the world needs you, and it's time for you to step up as that leader who can truly help guide people, heal people, and like have them be their most magnetic self. And I mean, it was kind of wild, to be honest. So my spiritual awakening, because I'm sure the listeners are like, what is happening there? For
Yeah.
a lot of us, it's being woken up in the middle of the night, and but there's nothing there, but you know there's something there. You're like, something's here in the room. Or I was actually living at my parents' house during the pandemic. I live in Chicago, and I was all by myself, and I was like, I need to get out of here. So I went to Minnesota, where I'm from, and I was living with my parents. And literally, like, the weirdest stuff was happening. Like, they have surround sound speakers in their house, and they were just blaring, like, but like a not like music. It was like, wah, wah, and they were like, what is going on? And I was like, I think that's me. I think like something's going on, right?
Oh my
And it would,
gosh.
I feel like there were like spirits essentially around all the time, and I was like, this is so creepy. I don't like it. Like, ugh. And quickly the universe put some spiritual mentors in front of me, and
Mhm.
I quickly got in to Reiki. I was in like a Reiki membership where literally every Wednesday this girl had us on Zoom and was doing different healings. And that's when I met my spirit team, and they were like, don't be scared, like, you're in control, which I think is the most important part when people start to have their spiritual awakening or explore their spiritual gifts, is to know that we are in control. We have
Yeah.
the power. We set the boundaries with the other side. And I truly, like, I don't know if I'd be doing what I'm doing today if I hadn't figured out, right, like, how to set those boundaries and how to be in control of my own gifts. But
Yeah.
yes, long story short, my whole life I've known.
I love that. And you honestly answered another question I had was like, how were you not scared? Or how did you like, yeah, how were you not scared when all of it happened?
Oh, I was terrified. I mean, it's never fun getting woken up in the middle of the night,
Yeah.
but I feel like I was only scared for like a couple weeks, because I feel like I manifested these spiritual mentors too, because I was like, I need someone to show me like how to explore this in a safe way.
Hmm.
Right. And I didn't know I was manifesting necessarily then, but I was just like, okay, this is freaky. I don't like it. Like, someone needs to show me what to do.
Yeah, for sure. I'm like, I can feel
Yeah.
that. So another
Yeah.
question that I have for you is, so you said you grew up like in a Catholic household, and just being like, I feel like you're very spiritually aligned and everything. So what are
Yeah.
your like beliefs with God?
I do believe there is a God. I am not Catholic at
Yes.
all anymore. My family still is. I find religion is so beautiful. It's so amazing. It gives people community. It gives them like an understanding, and I love that. And I do believe there is, like, for me, I don't always necessarily think of like God. I think of more like the universe, and it's like this energetic oneness, if you will. But I think listen, ultimately, this is what my dad, the super Catholic who like goes to church every Sunday, he said to me, he was like, you know what? I don't understand like what you do, right? Like, but we both have the same end goal. And that's for people to feel like their authentic selves and to feel happy. And I was like, exactly, happy and fulfilled. And he was like, and if we both want that, who's to say which way is right or wrong? And I was like, exactly.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that that he said that. That's beautiful. I feel
Yes.
like that, honestly, that's a lot of what I've been talking about too. I released like one of my most recent podcast episodes was you don't have to be religious to believe in God, to have that spiritual
Yep.
connection. And I feel like so many people get turned off completely because the very first place they go to is a church or a spiritual leader and if I feel like so much of the times, and not all the times, because like you said, like religion is very beautiful. I practice so many different religions, and I do think it is definitely a space for community, but I also think it's so important for people to know that if they're not religion or if they're not practicing a religion, that doesn't mean that they can't have that relationship with God, with the higher power, with the universe. And I feel like that's a big, especially through 2020, like all of us being alone and going through that terrible time and trying to just find that God that we were looking for and needing. And I feel like
Yeah.
that is why you're called here today, Emily. I'm like, that is a huge, I'm excited for it because I was like, this is perfect. So,
Yeah, yeah, and it's so great, and I'm glad you're talking about it on the podcast because I think it's really important for people to realize it's not one or the other. It's not black and white.
yes. And I feel like your dad, especially being, like you said, like a hard Catholic in it, to say that because it's true. This is how I prefaced it. And it's like, God is love. And that's
Hmm.
all. And
Yep.
whether, like, no matter what you want to call it, like, if some people want to give God a different name and call him like Fantasia,
Yeah,
like,
like whatever.
yeah. And I feel like no one at all can say, like, oh, no, you have to do it this way or it should be this way. And that's what it frustrates me. So I'm very excited because I feel like you're very, like, awakened. Like, you are, I feel like God literally had to come through you for you to have these gifts and for you to know and to feel so aligned with it.
Totally, totally. That's exactly right. And it's really beautiful when you can I mean, I had to do some healing. As a lot of people who grew up Catholic have had
Yes.
to do. A lot of my clients who come to me also had a similar upbringing, right? Where it was like, black and white, right and wrong, evil, good, whatever. But I think what's really important to remember is that you can also release those past limiting beliefs you have towards religion. Like there was a point in time where I didn't even want to go to church, and I was only going because I knew it made my dad happy, right?
Hmm.
But there would be times where I'd be like, no, I'm not going. And I'm so like anti like Catholicism, I guess. But really, when I went through, of course, my spiritual awakening, but also really getting into alignment with myself, and then also some of the mindset work with like NLP and time techniques, where I was able to release the limiting beliefs I had around like Catholicism and like the stories that I was living in from when I was really little. Like they weren't true, right? They were
Yeah.
just like made up things in my head. And it, being able to release those, I then was able to embrace religion for what it is for people.
Yeah.
And it no longer had that negative stigma for me. And now I gladly go with my dad at Christmas to Christmas mass. Like it doesn't matter to, you know what I mean? It's not, I'm not
Yeah.
like feeling any way about it. It's just like, this is beautiful. It makes you so happy. I would love to go. Like experience this.
Wow. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh, I love that. I feel like the growth, the instant growth that you just heard in that little tiny segment of
Yeah.
story, it is crazy. So you think that like truly on this like spiritual awakening healing journey, 2020 is when it really started for you.
Yeah. That's when it like kind of came to fruition for me because I had just, really hidden it from myself. I really buried it deep. But then I think with 2020 and, having so much time and a reflection, right? Like all these things happening, of course, that were a little scary for me for like a week or two. um, it really catapulted me into my
Yeah.
awakening. Whereas my understanding, at least from other spiritual mentors who had their spiritual awakening before 2020, is that their spiritual awakening took like some of them took like years, whereas
Yeah.
2020, they were calling it like popcorn. It was like awake, 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 awake. And that was what
Literally.
happened to me. Yeah.
Wow. I'm like, see, there was some definitely some silver linings in the year of 2020. I'm like, I feel like we did come out of the other end for sure. Like it was exactly that, like an awakening.
Yeah, and I think too, like it also just put such a mindset into such the forefront of like making sure that we're taking care of our mental health and making sure
Yes.
that we are feeling energetically good and that we are being our authentic self because otherwise what are we here for?
Yeah, honestly, I'm like amen to that. So I do want to hear more of like what your practices are because I feel like this is even right now I'm like currently trying to nail down and I'm also very open-minded. Like I've been this morning I just did this like 24-minute meditation for the first time that honestly talked about stars too. And that's another like it was just it's so crazy because I don't know if I was like I definitely believed in manifestation, but I feel like I didn't know how, or I thought if you manifested, it had to be like, I'm manifesting like a Tesla. And if it doesn't arrive in my driveway, then like I don't know how to manifest. And that's not, like you said, sitting at the bar, getting that free glass of wine that you were already going to order. That's manifestation.
Yeah, it truly is. So for me, I've really boiled it down to what I like to call like a simple method that can then have whatever you want underneath. So for me, it's the raw method, RAA, kind of like a cheerleader, like rah rah, we're calling it in, like it's exciting. And it's all around. The R is for release, then it's align, and then it's attract. And release is really,
Mm.
I think, important when we are calling in something like super specific. But to your point, like I manifest, we all do, like every second of every day. But when I'm specifically calling in something, I like to make sure that I'm releasing the limiting beliefs, the energetic cords that might be holding me back from calling in what I truly desire. And align means that it's in alignment for me.
Mm.
So like I'm not manifesting because I should, right? And you can, by the way, I manifested plenty of promotions and more money in corporate very easily, but it wasn't in alignment for me. So that's why I feel like alignment's really important to make sure like it feels good for you and that you truly desire it. And it's not just because you should.
Yeah.
Um, or trying to manifest for someone else. That's a whole different you can't do
Yeah.
that. Um Now, interestingly enough, though, if you have a joint bank account, you potentially could manifest your
Ooh,
partner calling something in. But that's a whole other topic.
like that's interesting.
Yeah. And then the last is attract. And that's really about like taking aligned action. Because, if I am calling in, I don't know, my next program, if I was calling in 10 soul aligned clients, but then I never put out the program on social media,
Yeah.
I never emailed anyone about it, I never even told anyone about it. And I just keep writing every day that I'm going to fill it with 10 spots. How is it going to fill?
Yes.
Right? You're not even like showing the universe or God or whoever that you're co-creating with them, that you're like, yes, let's bring it in, let's do it. And so then why would anyone take you seriously, right? So
I
there's
love
that
that.
piece. And what I love that I do in I have a specific manifestation little 4-week program, and I actually give like my favorite manifestation techniques, and I have my clients pick out 3 to use during the month. I'm not saying like go use all 10, or I don't even know how many I have. It's probably about 10 in there, because that's when you're going to feel like it's not going to be fun. And if you're not having fun, you're not going to call in what you desire, right? You're going to feel like you have to do
Yes.
something. In my world, it's all about intention. So like we don't have to do anything. And then, you can kind of ebb and flow with, these different tools, whatever feels fun and flowy for you then. Now, with that said, I have like one that I don't say they have to do anything, but one that I really suggest is the 369 method.
I literally
Um,
have that in my notes to ask you. What is
yeah,
the 369 method? I've heard you talk about it before.
it honestly, it's really just a great way. So, and what I do is my morning routine, by the way, takes like 10 minutes, sometimes 15. Like
Yeah.
you guys, I'm calling in, like I literally called in within this 21-day challenge. I called in $100,000. Like,
Well,
so
we all are calling that in. I'm like, yes,
right?
please.
Like but that's what I mean. Like you don't have to do hours a day, right? It's about being intentional about what you're doing and taking aligned action. And so what I do is I love having a morning routine. Now, let me be very clear. My morning routine doesn't mean that I literally, my eyes pop open and I do it. For me, my morning routine looks very different. I have 2 dogs, right? They
Yeah.
start barking, I have to let them out. Then we have our morning snuggles. Then I'll get to my morning routine. So like I think people get so stuck on my morning routine has to happen the second my eyes pop open.
Yeah.
And I'm proof, my clients are proof that you don't have to do it, can fit into your life. Sometimes, right? Like, especially when you have young little kids, sometimes you do need to make it a point to like when your eyes first pop open, you need to get it done because the day might get away from you.
Come on.
um, but I love doing my 3 um so I write my manifestation. So like right now I'm calling in $33,000. I don't know why. I just picked 33. It sounded good.
I like it. And well, that's a good number.
Good number. I don't really love doing like a 10K or a 20K because I feel like I want to be just past it. So
Sky's the limit. Yeah, I love that.
yeah, right now I'm going after 33K. Well, no, I'm getting 33K. I'm not going after it. It's happening. It's done.
It's already on its way to you.
But I will write it as if I already have it. So I'm literally like, I am so
Mm.
grateful for how quickly and easily I called in $33,000 into my bank account. I write it 3 times. Then in the afternoon, I write it 6 times. And then before I go to bed, I write it 9 times. And
Ooh.
the three is like, okay, I'm setting the intention. The 6 is like, okay, I'm calling it in. And the 9 is like, it's a done deal. So
Yes.
it's really having that mindset. Now, the other thing that I really love to do along with the 369 is I like to do wealth. I call it wealth journaling. So
Mm.
I will literally, what for almost the whole year, I'll be like, it is December 31st, 2023. And oh my gosh, I did it. Like I had multiple 6 figures. It was so fun and flowy. I reinvested my money into X, Y, and Z. And it's like it's already happened, right? Because
Yeah.
subconsciously, the more times we're writing that and writing that and writing that, our subconscious mind doesn't know the difference between fantasy and reality. So it's all of a sudden like the stars start to align and these things start to fall into place for sure.
Wow. I'm like, I love that. I'm literally putting a star next to that because I heard you one time on a call say it and I was like, wow, what is this 369 method she speaks of? I'm like, I need to
Yeah.
do this.
And it's literally so easy. And I will also say for those of you listening is there are some days where I know I'm going to be out and about all day. And so I will do my 3 and then I will do my 6, like
Mm.
right in a row. I don't like carry my journal with me everywhere,
Yeah, I like how
right?
you're sharing that too. Like it's very flexible. Like how you said, you don't have to wait, open your eyes and start your morning routine. I feel like so many people put stress on that. Like if it doesn't look perfect, or like you said, if they are going to be out, they're like, well, I'm just not even going to bother doing it today. And then it's like they get off track just because it's not perfect. So I love that
Yeah.
you're sharing that.
It's like take the stress out of it because if you're stressed and feeling like you have to do it, guess what energy you're putting into what you're calling in?
Yes.
Stressed have to do it. And I don't know about you, but I want it to feel fun and flowy.
Same.
So like, no. And then
Yes.
it's like what works for you. And I think we all get, especially in the beginning of your manifestation practice, is there's like analysis paralysis because there's so many methods out there.
Yes.
And that's why I suggest for my clients to like pick 2 or 3, stick to them for a few weeks, and then if you want to like, you're like, I'm not loving that one. Guess what? Don't do it. Don't do it. You
Wow.
don't have to.
I love that. It's very flexible because I feel like you said like everyone's different and how they're going to manifest is going to feel different, but whatever feels good to you is the main thing, yeah?
Yes, whatever feels good to you. And I always encourage to tap into your spirit team. And simple way to do that, I also do this too when I'm done with my wealth journaling, is I will literally write I'll write the word intention, and underneath I close my eyes and I say, Spirit team, give me 3 aligned actions I can take today to call in my intention. And and to make sure it's not your ego, it's the first 3 things that pop into your head. And it
Yes.
can be random, like they had me dance in the car once. They were like, dance in the car. I was about to go on a 6-hour road trip. They're like, dance in the car. And I was like, huh, okay. I signed 4 clients
Oh my
during,
gosh.
and I wasn't like DMing, like I literally just signed 4 clients while I was driving for 6 hours.
I'm like, note to self, dance in the car.
Yeah, right. But it was like, sometimes they'll be very literal, like, the first thing they'll say is like, DM 3 people. I'll be like, oh, okay. Or
Yeah.
like send an email, make sure you post. But then sometimes they'll throw a random one, like cook yourself dinner, go for a walk, like
Mm.
whatever it is. And it almost, I feel like takes the pressure off of me being like, what do I need to do
Yes.
next in order to call it in? It just like allows it to flow, and our spirit guides are always having fun with us. So they're not going to make it like
Oh.
boring.
I love that. See, I'm like, here's a little spice of Emily's coaching. So I'm like, if you're ready to call in your spirit team and just feel so aligned and flowy and fun doing it, I'm like, she is your girl because you make it even the way you explain. I like how it's just very flowy and natural and like not heavy at all because it is like it could absolutely feel heavy if we get in our heads, but it's like, for what?
Yeah, for what? If it's not fun, I'm not doing it.
Yes, period. So with the like being aligned, how do you know when you're in alignment and when you're out of alignment?
Great question. I know when I'm in alignment because I'm truly like happy, fulfilled, and motivated. When I'm out of alignment, I feel overwhelmed, I feel frustrated, and I feel like, what's the point? And now, because of having all of the mindset techniques, thank goodness for those, when
Yes.
I feel out of alignment, I first check in with myself and I'm like, okay, is this an emotion I need to feel? Right? Like, do I need to just sit in this for like a minute? Am I ascending right now? Like, do I just need to like
Yes.
be in it? And or do I need to go take a nap? Do I need to go for a walk? Like, do I need to like move this energy? Like, what do I need? Or do I just need to like literally sit on the couch and just be in that space for a minute? And then from there, it's like, okay, now I can move out of it and put myself back into alignment because I go and do something that makes me happy.
I love that. So it's almost like if you're not feeling flowy doing it, it's like reverse engineering the raw. So if you're not
Yeah.
feeling in alignment, then you go back to release.
Exactly. Then you're like, something is here that's funky and it's not helping me anymore. And it might have at one point, like I also think it's important when we're in the release stage that we're not sitting there being like, I don't want this anymore, like
Yes.
negative towards it. It's like, okay, guess what? That was potentially something from my ego, something that kept me safe, something that like, held its purpose, but I no longer need it. So I'm sending it love and light and I'm letting it go.
Boom. I love that. I'm like, that is what we need. I feel like, honestly, this new moon this year, this all of the things are a time of like release. Like I always say, like,
Mhm.
bless it and release it. Like, it is no longer serving me. I do not want to hold on to it. So that is my next question to you. You said cutting cords. So do you do like the whole Ho'oponopono or do you do something
Ooh,
different?
I too love doing that. Yes, absolutely love doing that. I also really love, I'll listen, usually when it's cord cutting, I'll listen to like some of my spiritual mentors, energetic cord cutting recordings.
Ooh,
Um, and I love, love, love doing like the Reiki sound bath in the bath. So I'll go take a bubble,
wow.
listen to it and just like let it energetically go. And plus, like you're in the water, so you're like cleansing
Yes.
anyways. Yes, love, love, love that. The other thing, speaking of moons, is to on a full moon is to release. So full moons are really great for releasing. You can literally write out a list of, I literally bullet point out like what I want to release with the full moon, and then I light it on fire. And I
Oh, I
just feel like
love
there's
that.
something so like potent about lighting that list on fire to like truly release those cords that have been tethering me for sure.
Wow. I'm like, I'm literally doing that tonight. I'm like,
Yeah.
this, by the time this episode goes live, it will not be a new moon anymore. But for the next new moon, work that into one of your practices. I feel like it is like something about watching it like disintegrate into that fire.
And what I love too is so full moons are really great for releasing. You can, by the way, you can manifest and release all in the same moon.
Ooh.
So for new moons are the perfect time for new beginning because it's a new moon. And so
Yes.
it's perfect time to manifest. And I always have my clients, and I do this for myself too, is we set 3 intentions for that moon cycle and write it down and you put it, in the moonlight if you, or I mean, I know the new moon doesn't exactly have light, but there's energetic light, if you will, to charge those 3 intentions. I don't put more than 3 because then like, I mean, we're trying to set ourselves up for success that
Yeah.
much.
Yes.
But it's also great on a new moon to be like, okay, I'm going to be calling in whatever XYZ to release, to be like, you know what, before I do that X, Y, and Z, I'm going to release a couple things that I know have been holding me back and light it on fire. If you can't light it on fire, you could rip it up, you could cut it up, like whatever, just to like have that energetic release, if you
Yes.
will.
Like that close.
Just love a good manifestation moment.
It is. And I feel like so many people like, because like you said, we're natural manifestors. And so much of our lives, it's like I don't know what it is because I felt like this for so long. It's like I believed in it and I tried it, but I don't know if it was like I was doing it wrong or maybe I was like closed-minded still. So how, like, what is your best advice to someone who's just coming into like their manifestation spirituality journey?
Mm. I feel like my best advice is to just be open with yourself to experience different things, and see where your spiritual gifts are guiding you. I feel like yours are guiding you to astrology, but we'll see.
Oh, I do. I just had my chart read the other day too, like my birth chart for the first time
Mm,
ever. And
yeah.
I was I was honestly like mind blown because so much of it and so much of my life, just like how you said, like I was like raised in a Christian church and then I did like I ventured out whenever I like became a young adult. Like I looked into like Catholicism. All my friends were Catholic in like high school, so I wanted to be Catholic. I looked into Jehovah's Witness for a little bit. Like I feel like I was just so desperate to feel God's presence.
Yeah.
And I felt like that was
A little bit to belong.
yeah, like I felt like I was desperate, like I needed that. And it really wasn't until I don't know, until I came like to my own and I was like, okay, like I don't need to be in a certain religion like to do it. Like I just need to open my eyes and my heart and my mind and my soul and everything to hearing the messages.
100%. It's like when you can be open to experiences, it's going to unlock so much. And I think the other advice I would give when it comes to manifesting is to be open to where the journey it takes you and what you're calling in. And if you're, for example, if you're like, wow, you said you called in $100,000, I want to do that too. And you just get so stuck on the $100,000 and where it's coming from, you're actually going to block the money from coming from potentially somewhere totally unexpected. And I know a lot of people are always like, and you set your intention and then you like let it go. And that can be tough in the beginning. And just know that like it will become more natural to release the outcome
Yes, I love that.
and just be
And
open, right? Like,
yeah,
because that $100,000, if you're an entrepreneur, right? Like it might come from a plethora. It might come from a
literally.
group. Someone might be like, hey, do you want to come in this retreat and I'm going to pay you? Like, who knows where that can all stem from? But also it could be something where, um, perhaps you get an unexpected check in the mail, like, I don't know, some type of rebate from the government. I don't
Yes.
know, whatever. It can literally come from anywhere. And if you're just stuck on that 100,000 from your business, you're literally, and perhaps just like the one program that you're launching right then, you could be shutting out so much energetically.
I love that. I feel like that's so true. And like you said, it is like we are manifesting it in and we're calling it in, but then you also have to do, just like you said, like the aligned action to do
Mhm.
it. Like I feel like that's where people get stuck is they're
Well,
just
I think for a while there was that whole like set and forget, like write
yes.
it down and then you just leave it and it'll come. And like that's not reality. Now, will it happen? Maybe, like occasionally. I mean, I suppose you could say that kind of happened to me with my first class upgrade to Argentina when I had no status. But because I put it on my vision board, but I didn't
Yeah.
like take blind action to get the first class, right? Like, I mean, I guess by doing my inner work, maybe you could say
Yeah.
that was the aligned action. Um, but I do think for majority of it though, like you need to be doing something to show yourself and the universe that you're serious about what you're calling in. Like if I wanted a Tesla, right? I'm going to be like, okay, I'm manifesting my Tesla. Like, I'm so grateful I have it. It's so amazing. And then I'm going to be open to like how it comes in. Like, does it
Yes.
come if I just signed, a bunch of clients or I just got some really great opportunity or like whatever, right? Instead of just being like, it's going to show up in my driveway,
Yeah,
like, and nothing
literally.
for it.
It's like we're just sitting there looking out the window like, when's it pulling up, driving by itself?
I feel like I had a mentor once give the example, because for us, like entrepreneurs, right, like we do truly desire to call in money into our business, right?
Yeah.
Because the more money we make, the bigger impact we can have. And like no one's going to Tony Robbins and being like, gosh, I really wish you didn't have so much money. Like no one. No one, right? Because he's making such an impact. And so um I think that it's important for us to also recognize in a different example that the aligned action is important because like let's say so I'm single right now. Maybe when this airs, I'll be dating someone, who knows. But I'm single
Yes.
right now and I am calling in my soulmate. Now, if I like write out like the qualities that I desire or like the life we're having, as if he's already here, right? Because it's always as if it's already happened, as how I recommend writing it. And then all I do is sit on my couch. Like, is he going to show up at my door? I highly doubt it.
The milkman may just come knocking.
Right. And I'd be like, who is this creep at my door? Like, ah. But I think it's a really like good tangible example outside of money of like when you are going after certain things or certain moments in your life, like you can't just like expect it to show up at your door.
Yes, I love that. And I feel like that's all, like, we all need that reminder every now and again. And just like you said, your subconscious mind, like when you're the 369 method, when you're doing that, you're constantly taking aligned action throughout your day that you may not even notice. But if you're calling in more money, you may feel like, oh, I should like pack a lunch from home today instead of going out and eating at the
Mhm.
cafe. That's calling in more money,
Yeah.
essentially.
100%. I also love, on a random other note of money, is I think it's really important, especially for us women, to understand finances. And I'm not saying like I do not know like how to invest or like go to the stock market. Could I figure it out? Probably, but I don't. But what I do understand is, of course, my budget every month, right? Like the money going out. But equally as important is my abundance list. And
Yeah.
that's the money flowing in. And I am talking like if I get like a free sandwich because I've had 10 sandwiches now that you get a free one, right? I count that. It goes on my abundance list. Or like if you get a free cup of coffee or you get like a 20% off like coupon, I will literally put that on my abundance tracker and it really flips your mindset from
Yeah.
scarcity to abundance and you still know where your money's going.
Yeah.
You're not just doing an abundance list because
I love that.
I think it's important to also know where your money's going.
Yeah, 100%. It's like if you want more money, you have to know how much money do you have? How much money do you spend? That is definitely, I'm like, that's something that we all, as adults, as women, as human beings, like, we need
Wow.
to know that. I
We need
like
to know.
too what you said with gratitude. Like, I feel like so much, and you said mindset, so much of it does come back to mindset. If you, and this is so, I feel like whenever you actually sit and think about it, it's so like a duh moment. If you're negative and you're like, well, I want $100,000, but whatever, like I doubt it's gonna happen, probably won't happen for me. Like, you're not.
Mhm.
Like, it's going "Arr!" like
Yep, yep.
it's skirting. So what are some gratitude practices you do?
Yeah, so I think there's a few things, like, first and foremost, I always write 3 things I'm grateful for in the morning, and it doesn't have to be, like, big things, like, I'm literally like, "I'm grateful for my pugs because they made me laugh this morning," or, like, "I'm grateful for my bed because it allowed me to get a good night's sleep," like, it doesn't have to be like, "I'm grateful for, like, the sun and the moon," like, I mean, it can, sure, you can be
Yeah.
grateful for those things, but you can make it simple. And the second thing is really around you are who you surround yourself with. And I do find that when I started to evaluate my own boundaries with others and my relationships, when I started surrounding myself with like, women who are really like empowering of each other, right? Like collaboration, not competition, and were really like cheering me on, there was a shift, right, in my energy because it's like, of course, like I am calling in now from a place of gratitude instead of like being surrounded with like gossipy negative Nellies. And then the final piece I'll say is just getting yourself a seat at the table with a coach or mentor who can help you to shift your mindset. So I feel like now I catch myself if I go into like a scarcity mindset and I will have people that I can now lean on and be like, listen, I'm frustrated. I don't know like what to do in X, Y, and Z. And I feel like I need to to be in a place of gratitude, but I'm also like, what is going on? Right. And you build a community around yourself and have those mentors who can help, show you and guide you into like, okay, yes, like let's work through this. Like let's do a time technique and see like where
Yes.
is this coming from? Or like let's do some energetic healing. Like there's just such a plethora of like tools in the toolkit now. And I think it's really important to remember that we don't have to do it alone.
Yes.
Just because I'm master certified as a life and success coach doesn't mean like I am the only one who can like coach me, right?
Yeah, and it is like you said, like it's so important. I feel like that community of like-minded women that you build. I had a client a couple weeks ago say that like her circle just tears her down and is so negative and like and I'm like, girlfriend, and whether it's like friends, family, coworkers, whoever, like it's time. It is time. This is your sign to cut them off because like you said, yeah, you're gonna feel its energy, and that energy is gonna constantly be flowing around you, and it's like it's heaviness.
Yeah. And I do really think boundaries are important. Like, for
Yeah.
example, if you have someone in your family who's perhaps more negative, I will literally just stop the conversation. I'll be like, you know what, this is going in a direction. I'm like, I don't have time for the negative. I don't have time for the gossip. Like, let's not go down this path. And now I feel like it's also helped make some of my family members better people.
Yeah.
Right. And there's some that it's like, guess what? I like can't get away from, my sibling or cousin or like whatever. But I can set a boundary with myself that like I don't have to actually stay in the conversation, right? Like I can be polite and nice to them and politely excuse myself.
I love that. I feel like that is strong words, and so many of us need that because boundaries are, especially setting boundaries for the first time ever with family more than anything, is so
Mhm.
uncomfortable. But it's like sometimes family are some of the most toxic ones,
Yeah. Yeah. And
unfortunately.
it is unfortunate. And it doesn't mean you have to like go and like clean house and cut everyone
Yeah.
out, right? But it does mean that you have to stick to your boundaries
Yes.
too. You don't stick to your boundaries, then they won't know you're serious and you won't even take yourself seriously. So when you have those boundaries of like, I don't have time for the negativity like I do with my family and friends, now it's when those things happen, even if I catch myself going down that rabbit hole of like gossipy or something, I'll be like, I got to stop. Like, I don't have time for this. Like, I don't want to do that.
Yes, you said it beautifully because it is. It's like you don't have to be so crazy. Like I feel like sometimes we think like we have to be crazy and mean and it's going to be like this big thing, and it's like you could just say like I don't feel like engaging like in that negativity. And then like you said, so many of your family members have then changed because you probably stopped them in their tracks and they're like, "What the hell just happened?" Like,
Right.
but it does
And
make them look in the mirror and think like, "Wow, I was being kind of negative."
exactly. It allows them to self-reflect, which I think is great. And by the way, if they're still negative after that, then you know what to do. It's, only go around them when you absolutely have
Yeah,
to,
literally. I'm like, I
which is
love that.
okay. And you also don't have to engage. You can let them go on their negative Nelly way and you don't have to engage.
Yes. Wow. I'm like, that's a good one. Everything I'm like, we need you, Emily. We need more of you on this podcast. So,
I'm all available.
yeah. And the pugs. I'm like, we want the pugs too. So the main questions, I'm like, we touched on definitely everything. The manifesting, I feel like was a huge thing that everyone wants to know. So what would you say is like you're bidding everyone to do? I know you talked about the 369 method, the raw method. What are some other things that if they're just starting on their healing, their mindset, their manifestation, their spirituality, that they could start implementing into their daily routines today to just feel that shift?
Yeah, I love that. Honestly, it's really does actually come down to gratitude because gratitude makes you have a good attitude. And
Yes.
even when life gets hard, because we all know it does, you can always find three things you're grateful for. And even if it's a hard situation, right? Like, for example, one time my tire blew out when I was crossing the crossing like a busy bridge. Scary, right? And you're like, oh my gosh, terrible. However, because of my gratitude practice, I was able to be like, you know what, though? I'm really grateful that it happened. I was able to get to the side and like, my car is fine. I'm fine. No one's hurt. We're good.
Yeah.
Instead of being like, oh my gosh, like, and of course, in the moment, I was like, oh But, to be like, wait, like, even in the most dire of situations, there's still things I'm grateful for,
Yeah.
right? Yeah. And I just think it helps to bring you back out. And that does not mean you should not feel your negative emotions. You absolutely should, but come back to gratitude for sure.
I love that. And even like you mentioned like earlier in the episode, is it something, do I need to just feel this? Do I need to sit with it for a couple minutes? Do I need to go for a walk? It's like catching yourself. And like you said, you do. It's no matter what level of healing you're on, I feel like we're always catching ourselves because it is. No day is perfect.
Ooh. Turns out.
I'm like, when did they let us know this? I love that.
Yeah, we'll
So
wait a minute.
yes, gratitude definitely takes it all, takes the cake.
And I feel like when you are a truly grateful person, which I believe we all are, and internally, I believe we all are. Sometimes we just need to remind ourselves and get back to it.
Yes.
That's when you can also be open to what you're manifesting and calling in. You become magnetic. You become open to like, okay, what do my spiritual gifts look like? Right? Because not everyone's is the same. Just because I'm a psychic medium doesn't mean, and if I'm helping you develop your spiritual gifts, it doesn't mean that you are also wanting to channel. Perhaps it's you want something different from your spiritual gifts, right? But when you're grateful for everything, it's like then you're more open-minded and then things flow and then it's fun.
Yes. Wow. I'm like, so when you are filling in your gratitude, it is. It's just so much flowy, fun, you're at ease. And I feel like things just like naturally, like that energy. I feel like you said, like it's all about energy and
Mhm.
the world. I'm like, the world beneath our feet even feels. If we're walking around, I always think of, have you seen the movie Trolls?
No,
Oh my gosh. I'm like, you have to. Monroe was
I will
literally
not
just
watch
watching it
it.
earlier. I'm gonna send you this clip from it. They're called like the Bergens, and they're so like it's gonna all make sense when I send you this video because they feel like they have to eat trolls in order to be happy.
Oh, oh.
I'm like, it's
They go,
such a weird movie, but it's like they're like they walk around and the song is all, I'm happy, I'm feeling
yeah.
bad. They sing that and they're like one's like pouring green stuff on their head and they're like pouring a can of water, just so like down and out. And it's like good things are not gonna happen. High chance whenever you're operating from that space.
Exactly. And that's why it's important to get yourself out of the funk. And again, doesn't mean we don't feel our feelings.
Yes. I'm like, we better
Because
check
that can be
ourselves
a
before
whole
we wreck. Yeah.
exactly.
I love that. I'm like, well, I think that is a beautiful place to end. Do you have anything else that you want to send off to our listeners today?
I just want to thank you guys for listening. And I hope I was able to share a few nuggets that will resonate with you guys. Happy manifesting. And I can't wait to see who leans into their spiritual gifts after listening to this.
Yes, I'm so excited. Thank you so much again for being a guest today on our podcast. It is a pleasure to have you here. I'm like, we all needed your message. And if you guys are interested, again, you can find Emily on Instagram at the Rich Witch Next Door. She's a master certified life and success coach. She does the Akashic Reiki records. Did I say that right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm like, she is a little bit of everything. She's a psychic medium. She can help you on your spiritual journey, on your healing journey, manifesting those 100K days if you want them. So reach out to her. I'm sure she'll be happy to answer any questions and just so excited to connect.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Yay, thank you. All right, so that is the end of our episode today. Thank you all so much for listening. Have a beautiful day. Happy manifesting, and we will talk to you soon.